Well, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us today on Viewpoint. Today, of course, being Thursday, getting pretty close to the weekend already. I want to thank you, those of you who are following the live stream. Special good afternoon to you as well, especially our friends here in Europe and in the United States. Thank you so very much for letting us know that you often listen and watch to pay attention to what's happening back home in your neck of the woods. All right, today I'll be spending some time with three members from the PFP party. I'm speaking of Mr. Luciano Nicholls, along with former MP Raeyhon Peterson and current MP in our parliament, MP Ludmila De Weever. They're all here, and I'm almost sure that what will be talked about would be in the interest of all those listening. So without any further ado, it's a special good afternoon to our guests, and thank you for coming. Good afternoon to all three of you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. Good afternoon, St. Martin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us on.
All right. So what is at stake here? Is it because we're looking forward to an upcoming election that you folks are reaching out, or you do have points of interest that you are concerned about and would like to be part of the topic of discussion today? Who's going to start? Mr. Raeyhon Peterson, you have been missing for a while. I must add,
because you've been working.
You usually come. Yeah.
Yes, no. Thanks once again, Wendell. We've been working diligently within the Ministry of VROMI for the last month, and within that month, a lot has transpired, and of course, we would like to give an update, eventually on how it's going, and of course, in regards to GB, etc. I'm sure there are a lot of questions on everybody's minds. And of course, we are the ministry responsible at this moment, for a lot of things that is transpiring. So, yeah, we're here to be transparent and give you guys the plan for what's to come.
Good afternoon again to everyone. I know that you asked a question about, how come we are here? Is it because of what's coming up in August 19, which is a new election? And also, what's the current events happening or plaguing the island right now? And what I can say is this. I mean, of course, you're going to have everyone out on the airwaves, on the radio waves happening. Campaign has not started yet. I think campaign never stops if you're connected with people. But in terms of the legalities of official campaign season, won't be starting until July. So, of course, part of that is for us to reconnect again with the community, talk to them about the current events, everything that's going on, what our solutions are for the things going on, what our solutions have been in the past, because anyone who paid attention to any of the PFP members in Parliament, whether it was MP Peterson, MP Gums, or myself, we have always been vocal about GEBE, about government-related companies, about TELEM, and it's kind of like I feel like we find ourselves today at a point where everything that we have been crying wolf about has come to be our reality. And so this is our reconnect again with the community about this, to remind the people that with proper foresight and experience, we see this. We see these things happening. When you have good business sense, you see these things happening. When you decide to actually place the right people in positions of companies, you can see things happening. When you place the wrong people in positions, you can see things happening. It's literally, you cannot do any decision that you make for a day in any of these companies, in government, in our daily lives, cannot be a short-term decision, cannot be something short-term. You have to continuously think long-term, how things are going to go out for your people. And right now, where we are today is short-sighted leadership, just for a given me mind today, has not helped our country. We are here to remind St. Martin that that is not what we deserve next time around.
I'm not quite familiar with Mr. Nicholls, but you have the opportunity.
Sure. So I think this is probably the first time you've spoken to me, Wendell. I think it's the first time that I've been on your program. I ran in the last two elections. But the reason why we're here today is, this is the first time that the Party for Progress has been part of the executive branch of government. So we find it important, we find it important that we also bring information from what's going on in government to the people. We bring you the truth. Sometimes the truth isn't something that you want to hear, but it's the truth that you have to hear. And so that's one of the reasons why we're here today. I myself, I currently hold the position of policy advisor in the cabinet of the Ministry of VROMI. Mr. Peterson is our chief of staff, and of course we all know MP De Weever. So we're here as Mr. Peterson and we're here as that representative from the executive branch, and Mr. Weaver is here as that representative from our legislative branch, and we're just bringing our views to the people on all the matters that are going on and everything that concerns them.
We go back to MP Weaver, because I don't know if you want to speak to the disappointing happenings of having to go back, and I use that adjective because I think it's the consensus that most people have. But at the same time, you may have a difference of opinion. But having to go back to the polls, how do you see it? I mean, is it justified in your view, or is this part of the political process, or how do you describe it?
I think anytime that you have to go back to elections outside of the 4-year cycle is tough. It's a hard thing to have to experience, not only because you are trying to keep people motivated about coming out to vote, and to basically exercise that right, but then you also trying to motivate people that it's going to be different this time around. You're trying to motivate people that no, if you give someone else a chance, you'll get that opportunity. That whole dialogue right there, that negotiation with the public, is the toughest part about going back to elections right now, which is 8 months later than the last election. And yes, like you said, I have heard disappointment. I have heard sort of detachment, disgust, people who don't want to vote, but I have also heard anger. I have also seen frustration, where people are mobilized now more than ever to come out bigger than last time. And that was that's the first emotion that I had, the first reactions I got from people, whether that was online or whether it was through WhatsApp or phone calls. People were so mad that they were like, we're going out this time, we're going out this time. Now that time has trailed off a little bit since that decision, now that I'm getting out further in with people, you're hearing some people saying they're disappointed. But what I can tell the public is this: if you continue to vote little children into government, you will get played with. If you continue to vote people who are more concerned about filling their own pockets, about their own family and their network, their own little clique survival, you will get disappointment. If you continue to vote the same people in that have been around for what has been happening now, and against the advice of sound persons in terms of what they should be doing in various companies, if you choose to have people in who don't want to put their friends and the person that are not right for different jobs in the place, you will continue to get disappointment. I'm not trying to tell people about the definition of insanity. No. If you continue choosing thieves in government, what makes you think your life is going to be improved? It's not going to be improved, Mr. Moore. And here we are. We got an opportunity. I told St. Martin in November, December, January, I said, St. Martin, you will get the government you deserve. Do we deserve this? Do we deserve what happened? No, we don't. Because even if you're talking about coalition and opposition, one thing I will tell you that you saw here when government fell, you saw people that were actively involved, active in destroying their own country. Because at the end of the day, the only people who were embarrassed was not the coalition that failed. It was the country that failed. And if people don't realize that when you do what happened, when this happens, we look like an embarrassment. Okay, what I have to tell St. Martin, because maybe I didn't have a chance yet to tell them, the day it happened, I have an executive from a cruise line calling me, asking me if it's true. These are people who are making decisions on whether or not they're going to let their customers come to our island. Okay, are you happy now when you drop the government? Are you happy that people question, that cruise lines question whether or not we are the right destination for them because of your selfish decisions to drop a government and hurt your island? That's what you're doing. Are you happy when a minister from Angola can call me and say that the coalition is a disappointment? No, it's a failure. No, sweetie. The coalition isn't a failure. Our country is a failure.
Yeah.
But it has to do with who we keep voting in. And people have to wake up and realize that. And now is the time for them to wake up, or else we will continue to have more of what's happening now. because 17 days in office ain't give you blackouts. 7 days in office ain't give you people who get cut off from telling, people who got fired and redundant from telling. 17 days don't do that, partner.
No.
That's 4 years or more of bad decision making.
Correct. You know, Wendell, you made mention, right, of if we believe that this is it's right, if the call for new election was something that should have happened, right? I think if we look at what transpired through that week, we can see that there's a complete problem in Parliament. Somebody moves one direction and moves back, that's a problem in Parliament. And once you have that problem in Parliament is unstable. And because Parliament is unstable, you have to send the people back to the polls.
Mm-hmm. So what I was getting from when I asked the question in the context of going back to the polls, I think the follow-up question would have been, who is responsible for us going back to the polls? Who is the one that made the decision first to do that?
If I may, I think asking that, basically you're giving all the power to one person, which is not the way that the system is set up. The system is set up to have a balance of powers for a reason. Mm-hmm. And when people are talking about the fact that, other people went independent before, what people miss in that is, let's say, for instance, they talked about it, let me bring it up here, that I went independent. I left a party that I no longer wanted to be associated with. I never sent a letter to the governor saying, I no longer support this government. That is very key for people to know. I never said, my sole purpose was to disassociate myself from the party that I was no longer proud to be associated with. And so the governor, His Excellency, never received a letter from me saying, I do not support this government or this majority in Parliament anymore. I never said that. That is very key. Duncan didn't do it. She had to say, Duncan did not. Solange with me that Duncan also did not do that. And so when you are looking at this distinction, what happened was someone specifically, explicitly stating, I no longer support this government. And that's why we are where we are, because that is the power and the right you have in Parliament until we do all the electoral reform that people actually want to sign off on, because I'll get to that after. So when this was done by the individual in Parliament, it was explicitly said, well, government has now fallen. What do we do? So you now take that balance of power that we have from Parliament, it went over to the executive branch. Executive branch has that right to say, well, in this scenario, I have the right to invoke Article 59. Can we do that or not? This is all legal. This is all in our Constitution.
I also think it's kind of important to know. Yeah, it's kind of important to know that when the good MP chose to decide that he does not support the then government anymore, he basically also, what we call it, the Vertrouwenslehre. The moment that he does that, the new government already is the missionaire, because they don't enjoy the trust of the majority. So the reaction of the prime minister, people can see it as a sort of a tit for tat. And Article 59, most of the time that it's invoked, it actually is. But in this specific case, if you have a supposed stable government, through your parliament, and within 17 days one of those goes rogue, then at that point, knowing that we have a slim majority of 8 to 7. Me personally, as a prime minister, I would, look at the numbers. If you have 7 people in opposition, 7 people in coalition, and 1 rogue member, it is basically impossible to form a new majority. And that is one of the main key reasons why Article 59 was put in place. It's to basically reshuffle Parliament, because at this point, how it's currently, set up, we cannot have a majority. Although the good MP said that he now supports the coalition, PFP does not want to be aligned with that type of behavior, period. So it's not a matter of now we have an opposition or a coalition. It's a matter of now we're going to elections. So everybody that is in government has to work now in the benefit of the country. But the composition of Parliament, the moment that Article 59 was invoked, it doesn't matter. All that matters for is if laws are going to come up now in a demissionary status, are those 15 members going to work in the benefit of the country and vote for these laws or against? Because right now, I can't tell you if we bring a law forward, it is going to get eight votes for. Correct. I cannot say that I trust MP Mainred to vote to do the right thing, because we've seen what he does. So he is actually the reason why now there is a rogue parliament that cannot form a new majority, and therefore elections is kind of the only option.
So that justifies going back.
Well, it
to the
does.
polls
Yep.
as far as what really happened. But you have Article 33
Mhm.
as well, which is, of course, the Parliament forming a new majority and dismissing or giving a vote of no confidence. Move a vote on the floor of no confidence.
If that opportunity is afforded to the
Yeah.
Parliament at the time.
Yeah.
If the timing is correct, yes.
So maybe it is justified. One of two things could have happened. Go back to the polls, let the people decide who they want. But then that's another scenario that I'm wondering if our citizens have any full understanding and knowledge of the whole exercise of electing members of parliament and what is crucial other than the same habit of doing it the same way all the time. We're going to end up with another split of these.
That is always going to be our risk, when it comes to our system that we have. But again, I think it's a responsibility of me as an individual to decide whether or not I want to do that to my country, which is, again, what I did not do when I moved. I also was not offered money to go anywhere because I'm not addicted to money or power. And this is the problem that we have, because that discussion that came up is the fact about that what was offered, what was on the table. We're basically negotiating positions and ministries like we're playing a game. This is not a game we're playing. So when you're selling yourself short, you're selling your country short.
Correct.
I'm going, but the point is that we are going, and that's why I said I don't want to put all the responsibility on one group or not. It is my responsibility to be a mature MP, to represent the people in the best interest. It is also the responsibility of our citizens when they go out to vote,
Correct.
to not vote for persons that will do that. So you look at the history, you have video recordings of parliamentary meetings. Look at the history. Look at the history of how he voted, how I voted, how any other, who was involved in doing what they did beforehand in the past. If they have an opportunity to go and serve you again, will you support them again, knowing that they were actively involved in breaking governments? And then they say, well, as opposition, my role is to break government. Actually, no, your role in government is to improve the lives of your people. That is not your role to break government. But again, I just asking the public to be very discerning. Pick and choose who you want. Pick and choose who are going to be the best for you, and especially what you think that they can offer you when they go up there to represent you. Offer you in terms of are you proud of them? Are they doing this with dignity, with respect? Because when they break government, they don't respect you. That's just how I feel about it. Sorry, the passion coming out.
Just coming back shortly to what you just said, Wendell, about Article 33. That's a bit I was there that I was speaking about. If a council of ministers or a minister does not enjoy the support of a majority, then they, and I think that the prime minister did resign his cabinet. But of course, Article 33, it's not exclusive. Article 33 is invoked, and Article 59 can also be invoked. And in hindsight, of course, we can have our opinions on whether or not invoking Article 59 at the moment that it was invoked was the right decision. And I think that should be a topic that is left for discussion, because you can have your opinion on the article, you can have your opinion on the circumstances, but it is not black and white, and that's the law. So to have a discussion on it doesn't mean that you have to be right. It just means that you have to understand everybody's perspective. But when you look at reality and what happened after, the fact that the same MP who went to the other side switched back, in hindsight, that invoking Article 59 was the best decision to make, because guess what? Whatever majority that they schemed up and thought that was going to be stable, that they came to the people of St. Martin with their press briefing and said that, listen, guys, we're having new, solid, more stable stability. That apparently within 6 days was cut short. So if the Prime Minister did not invoke Article 59, he would have subjected the people of St. Martin to the most unstable coalition ever, because in hindsight, it would have been dead within 6 days. So and that's even shorter than the 17 days that we got.
Okay, let me ask a question. Let's get back to the majority of parliament. The person in question retracted his so-called letter to the governor. And I'm wondering if he's back as part of this current majority in parliament.
I believe he's still independent, and whether or not he supports the government, I don't think that within Parliament you can speak of a clear majority anymore. I mean, of course, as an independent MP, he basically said he doesn't support the last majority that was there, which is the opposition and him, the Magnificent Seven or the Salty Seven, as we call it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
so that means he's also part of this, the four-party system,
That's
because these are your coalition members in Parliament.
Yes,
that form
and if I can just like bring it, as an example back to the public. So again, when Solange, Ludmila, Duncan, and I took away, like when we went independent, we never said we don't support the government. It doesn't mean that we supported them, but this is like the sort of loophole of it. So technically, there was a circulating paper of the new members that came on that said this is a new majority. That's not legally binding. So they didn't have to do a whole governing accord all over again. They didn't, they kept the same calm in there because they knew that they had a unstated majority, that no one had notified the governor yet that we have Ludi left, Grisha left, Duncan left,
so
the
last day of the
it's
term,
the sort of gray area of it because
up to the last day of the term, MPs Brownville and MPs Arundel up to then never signed towards any coalition or accord. They were just seen as being part of the majority then, but they never signed anything officially. And that being said, MP Mingred is not part of the majority.
So do you understand
because there is none.
gray area,
I'm trying to find out where this individual, and I'm speaking of MP Mingred.
Yes, so he's
Where is he?
He is an independent
There is a
Parliament.
4-member coalition that formed the majority.
correct,
Right.
which is now 7 after he left, right?
So four-party coalition.
Yes.
4-party coalition.
Which had 8 members.
Correct.
Right.
This guy retract
Correct.
this thing, which means he has gone back.
Correct.
No, that does not.
That's
no.
there. Explain that one.
He
That's
declared
the
himself independent, and he also resigned from the NOW. So, with that being said, even if he came back, even if he retracts his statement, that is not how Parliament works. You do not get to be the voice of the people, say something, and then a week after say, "Oh wait, I retracted." No. You're supposed to represent the people at all times, period. So if you went independent at some point, you are independent. If you want to go back, then you would have to be accepted back. And according to me, no new coalition accord has been signed with this MP and any other set of 7 MPs.
So
at
as
this
it were,
point,
to
he
put
is
it
not part of the majority.
He's floating out
To
in
put
the
it
sea right
simple,
now.
he is standing on his own.
Yes,
floating in the sea.
and
standing on his own as an 8 member.
And hopefully he still supports the government when it comes to everything that needs to be done right now in the benefit of the country. And I'm not talking about Parliament, I'm talking about the executive branch, because by the end of the day, his former faction, who he now wants to go back to, they still have 2 ministries there that need to be taken care of.
Correct.
So if he wants to do the right thing for the people, then he will support this government regardless of being an independent member. But if not, then that also still shows character. But either way, elections is in 74 days.
To look at this in a more positive light, is this growing pains, or is it learning the curve, or is this confusion?
You mean
What
for
is
the
it?
country? For the country?
Yeah.
So I do believe that we always have to remember that St. Martin is still young as a country. A lot of other countries had a lot of years to figure this all out, iron it all out. But one of the differences I've always seen with even countries within the Caribbean is that, and this touches on something that Lodi was speaking about. It's how we vote. So we in St. Martin, we have to work on having an informed electorate. Okay, if you don't have people that are informed about the matters of your own country, just like how if you're running a business, you want to know everything that's happening in your business. Politics and government is the people's business, and the people must be hungry to understand that business which is theirs. But what we find here in St. Martin is that people, elections coming again, and they just make a choice because, okay, he's my cousin, without understanding what that person actually stands for. You have to be informed if you want to make a change.
And what does that say of our educational system when it comes to civic education?
We always talk about that.
This is one of the things I hammer on, because I also come from that education background. I've taught at Milton Peters for like 4 years now. I teach physics, and when I give you a story of my youth, during the last campaign, I told a lot of people, I told St. Martin of my dual heritage. You know, my mother's from here, I'm a Richardson. My father's from Barbados. He's a Nicholls. And one thing, I spent 3 years there growing up when I was young. And one thing I can remember in our civics class, there was a snap election that came about in Barbados. And I was around the age of 8, 9, somewhere around there. And we had to cut out newspaper clippings and all the different articles that was surrounding the elections at that time, what one party was saying, what the other party was saying, and then you had to bring that to school and present on it. That's at the tender age of 8 and 9. But that is one way that you can educate your population and have them interested in politics. I can tell you this much: in Barbados, everybody knows what's going on in government, whether you cut your cane or whether you're an MP. That's what we need to reach to here in St. Martin.
That is called civic education.
Correct.
It teaches citizens to be familiar with the political development, and they have to choose.
Yes.
They're called on to choose.
Yes.
Anyway, that is not yet. We're not yet.
No.
So in the meantime, we are dealing with the mindset of citizens who are called on every election to vote, and is one or two things in their mind. Who give them what they want? It's a cynical statement, really. Somebody asked, I have two cousins running in the election, January 11th, and I don't know which one to vote for. Say, take the names, put it in the hat, and any money more, whichever one comes up, you vote for that one. I mean, that's not the purpose of our civic role and responsibility as citizens when electing people. And if they are not taught, how would they be able to demonstrate that?
And I think you have to wait sometimes. Unfortunately, I feel right now what people have been reporting back to me is that we're basically gonna hurt before we make that we're the feeling right now is that Semati people want to get hurt more before they can learn the lesson on what to do the next time around. And I'm like, well, I really hope that that's not this situation.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you literally wait for things to get to the worst point before you can make a turnaround. And I thought we were at that point in January 2024 to see that turnaround. You saw it a little bit.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it a lot more in August.
The wheels of change have started.
You're gonna see it a lot more.
Let me take a quick break. This is Viewpoint with your studio with Luciano Nicholls, along with Raeyhon Peterson and MP Ludmila De Weever, all from the PFP party. Quite an interesting conversation. We'll continue though right after we take a quick break. Okay, welcome back, folks. This is Viewpoint with yours truly. Of course, we're here till 1 o'clock hour. We're not very far away, but I'm having quite a discussion here with these three members from the PFP party, Mr. Luciano Nicholls, along with Mr. Raeyhon Peterson, MP Ludmila De Weever. Mr. Peterson, I know you weren't re-elected on January 11th for Parliament, but I don't know if you had a leave of absence when you were out from the Department of VROMI. We haven't getting Carnival from. Carnival is gone. This is hurricane season, and something that a gentleman was here and was talking about how billboard has become a hazard. Because of so many of them being up all over the place.
Yeah, they're popping up. Yeah, so
whether or not for the hurricane season these things wouldn't be missiles.
No, definitely, Wendell. I think that you just mentioned a very important key thing that we are in the hurricane season at the moment. And I want to take this opportunity to inform the people of Sumatra of some of the next plans of PFP. Of course, since Article 59 was invoked, like I said, the Prime Minister did also hand in his resignation of his cabinet. And the result of that is that he cannot add more people to his cabinet, the Council of Ministers. And I was in the process with MP Emmanuel to send our L base back to the governor because he unrightfully sent them back to the Prime Minister. He refused to sign them. So we actually was going to send them back to him. That was the prerogative of the coalition then. But of course, when government dropped, Article 59 was invoked, the Prime Minister kind of his hands got stuck. So we can't push forward with that case at the moment. So what PFP has decided is we do have a minister within the sworn-in ministers, and that's Minister Patrice Gomes. And as for the end of this month, tentatively, he is going to take up the role of the Minister of VROMI full-time. Because like you said, when we are in a hurricane season, and regardless if there is an election nearing or not, the Ministry of VROMI is in such dire straits and it needs so much full-time attention that we cannot in good conscience as PFP leave it up to the acting Minister of
who's trying her best,
who is doing the best that she can, and as everybody can see, she's also being very proactive. So shout out to the minister as well. But of course, BSA, when it comes to hurricane preparedness, also needs to have the full attention. When you look at the social aspect of it, when you look at the health aspect of it. So we do not want to put any more strain on the two departments that are, quite the most important ones to play a role when it comes to hurricane preparedness. So as for the end of this month, we want to welcome our own Patrice Gomes to the seat of the minister, and me and him will be working, as me and the current acting minister have been working together hand in hand, making sure that everything in VROMI is up to speed. And coming back to the billboards, for example, we had a meeting with the infrastructure management department in VROMI, who are all being proactive, I must say. And one of the things that they brought up to us is that there is currently an issue when it comes to these billboards, and especially with hurricane preparedness, everyone as you see alongside the road, guys, that's debris. That is going to end up on somebody's car and somebody's house. That is what happened in Irma, and that is what's going to happen now. So we are busy with the department to bring out, to communicate to the public the guidelines that we want to push through and invoke for all of these billboards, because I'm not saying billboards are all illegal, especially if they're on private land, but you need to take certain conditions into consideration when you want to, let's say, go into a hurricane. So we want to send that information out to the public and also encourage everybody that put up a billboard, if you have any questions or need any help, come to the department, because we're not going to get through it by shooting a rock and then doing a back and forth. It's not going to happen. We need to just come to the table and communicate. And with that being said, we also have many other discussions pending with big stakeholders in regards to GB, in regards to just continuity, in regards to the energy crisis that we have. So yeah, it's a lot of talking, but that's what's needed. Communication has been, it's left a lot, on the table. So we have to get back on it, and we have to connect back with people.
Is there any other reason why VROMI get the priority it gets, and who would be taking up the Ministry of Plenipotentiary that will be left in the hands of it?
Right now, we do have a deputy minister penitentiary, Dr. Andersa Teresita Arundel. So she and Mr. Gums are currently in Holland or on the way to Holland. So for the upcoming 2.5 months, we believe that it's in good hands because, of course, that's why you have a deputy plenipotentiary. But we also weigh the pros and the cons, and to have a full-time minister of VROMI, that is a little bit more important, not only because it is a crucial ministry, but like you said, hurricane is coming up, and we need to prepare, guys, and we need to make sure that all hands on deck, that the PR is up to speed, that the people know, listen, guys, tomorrow this is going to happen, tomorrow this is going to happen. But for that, we need to have all hands on deck.
All right. So in the meantime, work is being done while the campaign mode is pretty much in place. I wonder how much are you looking forward to? What would be the message for our citizens to make the right decision at this time? Oh, somehow the feeling is there that we might end up with the same split amount of people, and then you have to go sit down and negotiate and put a formation together again.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So is there a need as well for us to discipline ourselves, to find a way to work together and commit ourselves to the task?
No, I mean, I think, when you're in government, I think it's different because, like you said, we are in government and it is campaign season. And how do you combine that? The answer is you don't. Being in government has to be completely separated from that. Now, the only thing that I would say is a difference now that I'm not going to take a leave of absence like I did when I was a civil servant, because it's more important to work for the ministry than to actually campaign at the moment, but also to use the ministry to inform the people. You understand, Wendell? Because there's so much happening, and when you have a ministry, also your task is to inform the people of what is actually happening with the ministry itself. And I'm talking about developments. I'm talking about how we got here. I'm talking about why are we in a crisis with the grid. You understand? And these are difficult conversations to have. And we are not here to blame anybody, but you do need to be transparent with the people, and also you need to hold everybody accountable.
Yeah. Keyword right there. I'm gonna take that accountability really quickly, right, and bring it back to this. I tend to not dwell in the past a long time, other than for learning from the past actions. Okay, and I'm gonna say this again because I don't think I say it enough. And whenever I have a conversation with someone, they're like, "Oh, but I didn't hear you say that." I'm like, I say this all the time. This is what we need to look for. Like our voters need to demand better of us. Okay, of their representatives. You need to be involved. Do you have the right person on the board at GB and Telem Airport Harbor? Do you have the right management on the board of GB, Telem, Airport Harbor? Are these persons working just for you, or are they working in the interest of our country overall? And when you as citizens keep reminding your representatives, y'all need to be working for us. You need to stop working for yourself. You need to work for us.
But how do you do that, though?
I think you need to tell them the truth, just like Raeyhon just said. This is where we are, okay? And I know that somebody out there listening to me right now have a family member or a neighbor or a cousin or a sister, friend, brother, aunt, uncle, wife, husband that got laid off or received that redundancy package from Telem, okay? It goes back to accountability again. We hear certain actions being taken this morning about management. It goes back to accountability again. What were you doing for 4 years? And I'm talking about it from the management level, from the supervisors, board of directors level, from a government level. Is government demanding of their shareholders that you are in the best interest for me, or only in the best interest of the people that you place there to keep your little unit small and strong and just about you guys? Because if we do not expand past that, we will continue to find ourselves in a disadvantage. We will continue to find ourselves with failing companies. And I will remind the public about that all the time when it comes to all the government-related entities. Be reminded that when there is a manager or supervisor in place at the airport, that they better be working for the best interest of St. Martin and not for which politician put them there. And when the supervisory board of directors are making decisions, they better remember that they're shareholder of the government, which is for the people of St. Martin. Remember that. Remember who you are working for. We have not seen people working for the people.
Wendell,
we have not, Wendell. We have not.
Wendell, it's you asked the how. And currently PFP only has one ministry, and right now I can tell you the how is very simple. We have received so many complaints, Wendell, about the last administration. Complaints that, the usual, money's being asked for, things being done, and we are going to be 100% transparent about it. Every decision that we make, we're going to tell people, listen, government is working for you. So every building permit that has been approved, everybody that ever has been approached for any type of fees in regards to their building permit, aside from your building permit fee and your processing fee, you need to contact the ministry. We're going to send out an email where everybody can bring these complaints forward, because we need to also internally understand that this is a foundation that needs to be cracked, a foundation of corruption, guys. And with VROMI, we have seen it, and we need to be transparent about it. We need to tell the people, listen, you guys do not owe any civil servant or any minister any type of money or compensation for approving your building permit, for approving your land.
You cannot get paid twice for doing
this is a service.
This is a
service. This is a service that we are giving you. So that's what we need to inform the people of. I am here to serve you, not the other way around. Not because you refer to me as honorable means
Sorry,
that.
go ahead.
For the
Me
sake
and Raeyhon getting hot.
for the sake of time, if I could just drop this in, because this is important when it comes to keeping politicians accountable. During elections, voters are the most important people, and some politicians will go as far as to say that they're the ones who are in control. They decide who sits.
Not
At the
just
moment,
during election.
the moment they're voted in, they behave like they're the ones in control. They make all the decisions.
Exactly. It goes from humble to suited up.
It's difficult for somebody to come and say, hey, like you say, Madam De Weever, you're working for us.
Yeah.
They don't see it that way.
If I go to my constituents, if I go to my voters, right, and I explain them what's going on, because a lot of them, when I go back to visit them, they ask me, they say, you're keeping us up to date. They want to know what's going on. You have to keep them up to date. How do you think I'm going to feel when I walk into their house and at their family lunch? When they say, but Ludi, you mess up, man. Ludi, what stupidness you doing there? How you think I feel? I have to report to them.
Yeah. You see, but there's another side to that too. We also have many people in our midst that may have given that vote cheaply. How do you hold them accountable then?
Yeah.
You got paid for it already.
You
can't hold them accountable now.
That is so very true.
Yeah.
But
that's an uncomfortable topic that no one wants to talk about.
But at the same time, it's I think it has to be education that would help people to realize exactly what their role and responsibility is. Because if they are more informed citizens, the politicians will say, people then ain't gonna
the politicians then have to step up.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
I want to say something, with all these heated discussions happening since the government change, someone said something like, what is the main purpose of a politician in office? What is their main concern? And so I answered sarcastically, and I said, to make sure they stay in office next election. And then the person said, yeah, that's the answer. But the way that you stay in office is by doing work for the people.
That's it.
That's how you stay in office. And if the Samaritanans think that their people are working in their best interest, then by all means, put your vote behind the people who working in your best interest. But I will say this about PFP. You have a heavy group of people that are educated, a heavy group of people that are connected throughout different industries and enterprises within the community. And you have people that don't want to thief to serve the people. Definitely. You have people that are there that are actively working, and I will implore and I tell Martin at every opportunity, be discerning when you go out. Go look at the people that made up the 10 candidates last time. Go look at them. I can't explicitly go and say go out now, but take a look at them. Take a look at them and how they talk, because we're small, but we're mighty, and we're gonna be. And the thing all I can say is we're growing. But look at where our interest lies. Our interest lies in all the issues that we have. Okay? The education you're talking about is what he has been singing on about. He's a broken record. Cleaning up VROMI to make people more comfortable so people don't have to go pay under the table or over in Galleys Bay. It's what he has been preaching from day one.
Not this election.
And that's what he's talking about. People say that I try to have those kind of remarks. No, I say the truth. When people tell me that they have to pay to get things from government, I say, where's your receipt? Where's your receipt from government? We don't do that, guys. The more you continue the behavior that is unscrupulous, which is basically corrupt behavior, you are going to help keep us in the dire situation right now. I'm not saying I'm blaming one. If we're not educating the public enough that we are the right choice, then we have to go out harder.
Yeah.
If the public is not demanding better of their representatives, then you see where the responsibility is on the public. And I will tell them, you got an amazing group of people. Be discerning. Choose wisely.
That's it.
Choose wisely. Be discerning. Because there's a group that definitely deserve a chance. And I sit in here with two of them.
Yeah.
We deserve your confidence, because I know we can do it. Because we have been singing it all the time of everything that has come to light is like we psychic.
Everything that we've said.
Everything you've said
Everything
has got us into this position. But I want to tell some people, and I'm gonna go off on my soapbox now. Have faith when you put the right people in. You continue to put people in that will continue to steal from you. We will continue to suffer. We will continue to suffer. Give the people with good intentions the chance to do this, okay? And look at what they're asking. We're pleading about people. We never disappointed in our work with people. I know in my career with minister and then going in as parliament, his career as an MP, Melissa's career as an MP. Look at Lucho, literally preaching every day of all the things that has gone on. It's not about a blame game. And then you want to go, Mr. Moore, I will give you back the mic. You want to you're asking about working together, right? In the best interest of the people. Then tell your representatives to do that. Tell your representatives when they played games there a couple of weeks ago, tell them you want better. But if you're proud of the representatives that was involved in breaking the government, then by all means put your vote behind them again. Because that's what we will continue to get. I will tell you one thing. I am not proud that I had a minister from Angola call me and tell me my country looked like a failure, because we deserve better. And I know that we're pretty amazing, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to look at that camera there and that camera there. This is an amazing country, my son. But we're doing a very good job of destroying it when you put the wrong people in there.
Slowly but surely.
We're doing a very good job. I will not let that happen under my watch. Let me tell you that.
Let me clarify.
Sorry, Raeyhon.
It happened to hear the same man come out of you. So.
It come out when I'm serious and I'm cussing. and what I'm cussing for is for the people to wake up. Because if we destroy our tourism product, we're gone.
We might have to make important decisions now as citizens, but I think
look at people's backgrounds, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, it was quite interesting. I had fun.
I know, sorry, I got a little heated. Lucho going to tell me to leave. Let me give Lucho the mic. Sounded like you on the vitametry. I was because this passion is coming out of fighting for my country. That's the thing. And people keep asking, oh, you're going to go back? Yes, I'm going back this election. Our numbers ain't changed. I'm going back this election because I got to fight. I'm a fighter. And the people I'm fighting for is the people of this country. That's for sure.
I could imagine there are some amount of people, I can't put a percentage in, but they heard you. And they're probably willing to make that step up and make a different decision when it comes around. So,
at the end of the day, all of this, what's happening, is because of representation.
Yep. Or lack thereof.
I'll just end up with this, Wendell. Let's stop electing people who are going to make us live through their mistakes.
Oof.
Let's hold ourselves accountable by holding them accountable, and that's it.
My final thought is, Martin, you already have that report card. We have it. All those grades.
Share it.
By the way, it's my first opportunity speaking with you, and I was of opinion that you maybe another seasons of you, but you said you went for 2 elections before.
Yes, I do.
You sounded pretty confident in what you're talking about.
Oh, that's
Always.
it.
Thank you.
Wherever you are, thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow's Friday. We're looking forward to the weekend, so come and join me at 12. We'll do this all over again. Goodbye.
This is the voice of St. Martin, BJD2. Broadcasting from Plaza 21, St. Martin.
Do you think that they're calling to somebody?